All right, so let's see. Warren's got a question here. What solver nodes and logic nodes would you use with your crossover method to not take the crossover in a flat area or price? Well, Warren, I kind of need some more information. So what indicators are you using to detect a flat area of price? So I kind of need to know what you're using to detect, I guess what you say would be consolidation. So what indicators are you using to detect consolidation? And then I could kind of show you what solver you could use with that indicator. So I'll keep an eye out for your response there, Warren. I'll try and get back to you. All right, so in the meantime, let's see, Tony, could I have a copy of your smart money template that you cleaned up? No, sorry, Tony. I will not hand out other people's indicators just because it's not my indicator. I don't own the copyright to it. Right, it's owned by Indicator Warehouse, so it's not mine to give out. So well, you said template, but you said that I cleaned up. I mean, I didn't clean up a template, but I made a template. I made a BloodHound template. What I cleaned up was the indicator itself. I actually did some coding on the indicator to kind of clean it up a little bit. So I'm assuming you meant the indicator, but if you would like the BloodHound template, I'd be glad to give that to you. Just send in a support ticket asking for it, and I'll send it out to you. All right, and Randy, let's see what Randy has here. I've never had a problem using default templates, and I was just referring to your charts for the workshop, as you always use the black background on those charts. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're referring to the green color. Yeah, the green color for the black. So, all right. Yeah, good to know, Randy. So, yeah, I don't think it's been a long time. Probably no one's really had issues with setting up a default template like this. And oh, look here, that chart popped up for Tony. There you go. This is Trader Jeep's. This is the chart that I have that has the Smart Money Index indicator on it that Tony was talking about. So anyways, all right, back to Randy's question. Yeah, so I think Randy's saying he's never had an issue with setting the default BloodHound template. And, you know, it's been a long time since we ever changed any of these parameters or you know, new settings for BloodHound. So yeah, that probably is the case. And hopefully you won't ever have a problem ever again, because like I said earlier, I'm pretty sure Jeremy took care of deleting the file that gets created when you do this, when you do set a default. So, but just in case, I just want you guys to be aware of that. Close this. All right, so Tony, I can show you real quick here. Okay, here's the BloodHound template. So if we look at one of the signals, right, so there's several signals built into this indicator. And as you can see here, I'm using the threshold solver with it. So let's see, this one is the Babs Nitro, and let's see, oh, so actually no, this is not the Smart In, this is the Babs Nitro. And so yeah, I think I might have done some work on the indicator for the Babs as well, just to make sure that the signals were working correctly. So you can see there's a data series here that has signals that are output. And so those output values from this data series is either 0 when there's no signal, or 1 when there's a long signal, or a -1 when there's a short signal. And so you can see I have my threshold solver set to 1, right, 0, 0, 0, and then -1. And then I have my output set accordingly. So at 1, I have an output of 1 from the solver, and when the data series from the indicator is -1, I have a short output from the solver. And okay, so here we go. So the teacup signal from the Smart Money Index is, so I'm using the teacup signals coming out here. And see, oh, that's right. These are actually a plot here. That's right. That plot is this little yellow rectangle. This tiny little yellow one, I think, is the teacup plot there. So let me cancel that. And so Tony, I'll send me a support ticket, and I'll send you the template for this. So let's see. So well, it looks like Warren had to leave early. Oh, all right. All right, so it looks like, okay, Randy's got another question here. Wouldn't the session solver work intra-bar if you had BloodHound calculate on bar close set to false? Yes, that is true. So when you have, so let me show everybody what Randy's talking about, this calculate on bar close setting. So this is a setting for all indicators. So this is a NinjaTrader setting, and it is this setting right here, calculate on bar close. So yes, if you had this set to false, then it's going to calculate on every incoming tick instead of when the bar closes. So yes, when you have this set to false, like so, then a time session solver, here we go, here it is, then this time session solver would work up to the very last incoming tick, for the time, for the stop time set in your session template. Okay, it looks like, all right, so Tony's got another question here. How do you use the extender to extend the tick chart's signals so it will prolong the signals long enough? So another time signal, like 5 minute. Tony, here, let me kind of show you a resource for all of the function nodes. So back in, let's see, January and February, when we came out with BloodHound 1.1, which is when all these function nodes were announced with BloodHound 1.1. So when these function nodes came out with that version, we did workshops on each of these function nodes. So let me go to, let's see here. I'll just bring up the documentation. All right, so we're bringing up, so you can bring up the documentation page. So if you're interested in the signal extender, and let's see, okay, no, I still need to, still have plans to edit this page so I can put the workshop video on this page as a little convenience for you guys. But in lieu of that, for now, if I go to the training workshops down here, and I'll go into the recorded webinars, and I'll start with January. So we started doing workshops in January on those function nodes. So you can see here you go, workshop function nodes 1, 2, which is the, let's see, the inverter function node and the long short modifier function node. So that's those two. That was on January 30th. So next I'll need to go to February for the videos on the other ones. So I'll start from the bottom of the list. So here's the counting node, right? And just kind of work your way up the list there. So here's the signal extender node and the toggle node. All right, Tony, so take a look at those, and those videos go pretty in depth and explain every single setting within those function nodes. So if I had more time, I would give it to you, Tony, but I'm quickly running out of time because I'm getting a lot of good questions in today. So I want to try and get other people's questions answered as well. All right, so Randy's saying, I noticed that when you ran the back test, it showed trades taken overnight because SI Raven's session template was set to use instrument settings. Let's see. Oh, but the logic has its own session solver. Good point, Randy. Good point. Yeah, that might have been something I overlooked. Let's see. Oh, right. So this is what Randy's pointing out here. So this, remember, so when you're setting your time of when you want to backtest, there's also a session template here. So I guess just to be safe, we probably want to set this on the default 24/7 as well. So that's a good point. Thanks, Randy, for pointing that out. So yeah, so we're dealing with basically, so this session template controls the bars that NinjaTrader will build on your chart. So if your session template, I mean, if your BloodHound template needs, 24-hour bars being built on the chart, then you need to set this to 24/7 just to make sure. All right, let's move on here. Okay, so Tony's asking, the autosave is the question I asked before. All right, if I have 3 charts, all use the same template, and they are all working at the same time, won't one modification start to overwrite the same template that the other charts are using? Yes, it will overwrite the file. So let me bring up File Explorer here, and let's see. So if we look, so we're in the templates. So let me go into BloodHound. So what it does is it overwrites. Let me sort by date here. Right, every time you close, every time I close this interface window, it writes back to this file. However, if you have the same template loaded on another chart, let's say if I let's see, I don't have BloodHound on that chart. And here we go. I have BloodHound loaded on this chart. So it's another 5-minute chart. I'll put this on a 15-minute. Not that it makes any difference, but so if I load up today's BloodHound template, there we go. And I'll hit F5 just to refresh it. Now, what happens is, right, I can have this BloodHound interface open from this chart, and then I can have the BloodHound interface open from this chart. And you know, if I disconnect this and say I disconnect in the time session solver, if I leave it like that and I close it, what happens is, right, it saves back to this file, but it did not modify this copy. So you think of this as, you know, it's the same file, but you know, it's held in memory as a copy. So we can see, if I take a look at it, it didn't modify this. So in order to get the update, I have to reload that file. I have to reload the file that just got updated. And now we can see now it updated it. And so if I go around in here and I goof around, and not that you guys goof around, but so if I go in here and modify this template, and right, I save it, and then I open up this one, and right, and I still have this one set like here, and I do something, and I just forget, and I close it, then, you know, guess which one of these template files just got saved back. So let's we'll load BloodHound onto this chart, and we'll take a look. All right, I'm loading up the same BloodHound template file. We take a look at the logic board, and right, so it was the last interface that I closed is the one that saved back to the file last. So just be aware when you're working with the same template on multiple charts. All right, so I'm going to finish reading the rest of Tony's question here. Let's see. So let's see. All right, I found it hard to track my revisions, but it is convenient to use the same core template for all charts in use. Yep, that's just, you know, it's just kind of the nature of computer files. It's just finding your own way of tracking different revisions. You know, kind of think of it as if you have a Microsoft Office Word document and you're making revisions through it. You know, say you're writing a speech and you're making revisions to your speech, but you want to keep track of those revisions. You know, what do you have to do? You have to keep changing the name of the file to kind of do that. So probably the best way to kind of keep track of different revisions is, if you have a significant change, I would suggest changing the name of your template file, and you could just simply, put a date on the end. But if they're kind of minor changes and you're using kind of the same core logic, but you're testing different little theories, then I would suggest just making a copy of your logic template, and just kind of rename the copies. So that way you're kind of working with the core. So I'm going to delete that one. All right. And I guess just to let you know, Jeremy is working on a way to so that you could create so if I copy this and call it like my core system, and so essentially Jeremy's is working on creating a way so that you can take a logic template, and whatever you have connected into the result node, if you create a new logic template, or basically any other logic template, then we'll have, we haven't decided what it's going to be, but it'll be like a new node that you can drop down on here. So I'll drop down kind of one of the lesser used nodes. So let me put down this like relational node, and essentially this new node, so not this one, but it'll be a brand new node, will represent the signals coming out of like your core system. So so the signals that are going into this result node would basically transfer to this new node, and then you could then you could modify those signals. You could kind of tweak them by building filters and whatnot in different testing scenarios based off of this kind of your core signal here. And so that way, if you make any change to this, say we didn't want this bar direction, we made a change to this template file, and so it changes the signals going into the result node, then those same changes would be implemented into another logic template, well, as kind of a convenience. So that probably addresses a little more about what you're kind of getting into there, Tony. Let me clean this up here, put this back to normal. All right. All right, let's see, I got quite a few more questions here to go through. So Julie's asking, did you put a direction in when you set up the last solver? Did I put a direction in? Well, sorry, Julie, I didn't see that in time. Did I put a direction in? Julie, I'm sorry, I'm not sure which solver you might be referring to. I'm not sure if you're referring to the bar direction. So let me see if you can. I'll try and keep an eye out for a quick response from you. So in the meantime, let me move down. Let's see. Al says, have you ever compared results you get using Strategy Analyzer with those using Market Replay on the same data? No, Al, I don't think I ever have done that. You know, I can tell you that you definitely will get different results using market replay data versus using the strategy analyzer, because the strategy analyzer works on static bars. And so therefore your fills are going to be on the open of the next bar. Whereas when you use the market replay, you're going to get a more accurate fill because your fill is going to be based on where the bid and ask price is, not based on where the last trade took place, right? So the opening of any bar is kind of like, you know, where the trade took place, and you don't know if that's at the bid or the ask. So at least when you use market replay data, you'll get a fill, you know, at the bid or ask instead of the last price. So that's a good point for people to understand. And so that's why also when you're using the strategy analyzer, and also when you're using a strategy on your chart to backtest that there is this slippage, right? The slippage is to account for that difference of, you know, is to help you kind of build in a safety factor because you don't know where the bid and ask was when the bar actually opened, when the bar opened. So this slippage, essentially, I guess kind of a general rule of thumb is whatever instrument you're trading, you want to find out what the average spread is of the instrument and use that spread as your slippage. And that'll probably give you, you know, a little more, that'll add to the accuracy of when you're backtesting on static bars. So all right. Yeah. Oh, well, that's my alarm there, so I'm going to try and wrap this up. It's almost 12 o'clock here. Let's see. Greg put in a question mark session template. Sorry, Greg, I'm not sure what you're referring to. All right. Julie has another question. You need to say longs only or shorts only during after hours trading. How do you debug human input? Right. Yeah, exactly. Debugging yourself. Let's see. Julie, I'm not sure if that was a question or you're just making another comment here when you're saying you need to say longs only or shorts only during aftermarket trading. I'm not sure what you're referring to, if that was a question or not, but let's see. All right, so back to Julie's previous question. Let's see, did you put a direction in when you set up that last solver? And your clarification was the last solver you worked on just before you weren't getting any strategy signals. Let's see. Well, it was this. All right, so it was this BloodHound template. And so the time session solver, the only two outputs it has is, right, you have when you're in session, you can have an output of 1, and when you're not in session, output 0. And of course, you could reverse those if you needed to. Let's see, the crossover solver. You know, the crossover solver has a default output settings of marking of, right, see the output goes in the direction of the crossover. So that's set there by default. Let's see, bar length. And so the output here at bar length, so you can see that the bar length solver gives you both a long and a short output at the same time. And I see Julie just tried to send me another comment here. Can you set it up only to take longs only for after hours trading? Sure. All right. So with this exact template, the way that would work, right? So essentially, what I could do is with this bar length, right? You can see it's giving us longs and shorts because a bar length isn't indicative of any direction. It's just a measurement. But what I could do is I could set the evaluate to longs only. And however, that would be, well, in this case it would work because this solver is only allowed to pass through the if-then node when we're after hours. So it works in this case. However, let's see if, let me find some examples here. Yeah, so you can see that the output now are longs only after hours because I set this to longs only. Let me put it back to both. However, if you wanted to kind of constrain the time session solver, so the time session solver also provides long and short. And so when we're after hours, there is no output. So if for some reason you wanted to use the time session solver to give you longs only in the after hours market, let's see. All right, it looks like Julie's trying to give me some clarification here. Let's see. So Julie wants both directions during the regular trading hours. So if you want to allow long entries after hours. All right. So here's I guess here is using this example. That here's probably the I want to say the best way, but the as a best practice, this is probably the best practice way of doing that. So we can use, let's see, I think we can use the long short modifier or the inverter, but I will just use the inverter node to demonstrate this. And so we can see longs and shorts, and let's see, bar direction. Okay, there we go. So this is the signals coming out of the AND node. And so you can see we're getting either longs or shorts because I'm using the bar direction to kind of filter out the bar length. So let me connect this up. And with the inverter, let's see, so the default here, swap long, short, set default's good. And what I can do is you can see we have a long side section and a short side section. So I can set this to false, and therefore it will not evaluate the short side. So you can see all my short signals turned off. But then what I also need to do is I need to turn the inverter off as well. So we turn the inverter off, and so now you can see we only have longs coming out of this AND node. But basically what I would suggest is, with this inverter node set up this way, place it in front of the else node, and then essentially anything coming through the inverter node gets filtered out so that you see longs only, right? And by turning the shorts off. All right, so there's that, and there's no signals here until we connect this up. And so now we can see the longs are coming through only. All right. So this would probably be the best way, is kind of a best practice way of doing it, using the inverter node to control what you allow to go into the if-then node. So, okay, let's see, let me get back to the top of the list here. And okay, so Al's question, doesn't the look back number only come into play in the calculation of an indicator? Let's see. No, the look back node will, you can use the look back node after a logic node as well. So I could plug a look back node, I could plug this AND node to the look back node, and so this look back node will be looking, looking back through whatever came through the AND node, which would be multiple solvers, which in a sense would be, I guess, in a sense, that would be indicators. However, in this case, both of these, this bar length and bar direction, is not an indicator. So technically that wouldn't be true. But kind of in a general sense, yeah, the look back node is always kind of looking back on indicator values, but it looks back on anything fed into it. All right, so I could even connect the if-then back to the look back node as well. So I could connect that back like that, and that works as well. So, I guess just to give you an example, I will set this displacement to something obvious like 5 bars. So now if we take a look at these crossover signals, stretch this out, so we can see the crossover actually took place on this bar. And so if we count, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it just displaced the output of the if-then node by 5 bars. Right, so the look back can be connected to anything. All right. Okay. So let's see. Hans has a question. Your recorded webinar from let's see, May 13th is not accessible for me on your website. Yeah, Hans, I had a issue with the recording of last Friday's workshop, and I was hoping to get. I know some of our customers do their own recordings, um, and I was hoping to get a copy from somebody, but I haven't gotten a copy yet. So if any of you guys out there do record these workshops on your own computers and you have a copy of last Friday's workshop, I would appreciate getting a copy of it. Particularly what I'm really interested in is the last half of the workshop where I was discussing synchronizing a lower time frame chart with BloodHound. That was one of Tony's questions, and I thought that would be very educational for everybody involved. So if one of you guys out there has recording, has your own recording of last Friday's workshop, if you could send me a support ticket, I would appreciate it. And what I'll do is add you to, I use Google Drive, so I'll add you to Google Drive folder that I have ready for you guys to put that video up on. So thanks, Hans, for reminding me. I actually wanted to ask that at the beginning of the class. Okay. So Tony saying, all right, so you misunderstood me. I didn't mean the indicator. Oh, okay. Okay, no problem, Tony. So yeah, so you probably want the BloodHound template. No problem. All right. Let's see. Bart's got a question. Where do you take the Uniranko and other bar types from? Where do I take them from? You mean where do I get them from? I got the Uniranko. I downloaded it from Big Mike's. That one was from Big Mike's. And you know what? Probably the vast majority of the ones that I have are from Big Mike's. So I have coded some of my own bar types, but I don't think I have them loaded into this. I don't think I have them loaded into this NinjaTrader. All right, so Big Mike's has lots of bar types up there, and also on NinjaTrader support forum, you'll find some bar types up on there too. All right, so Richard. So Richard's saying, I think that sucks up a lot of CPU, doesn't it? I'm not sure what you're referring to, Richard. Maybe you're referring to having the BloodHound template loaded on multiple charts. In any case, yeah, every time you load up an indicator on your chart, yeah, that just takes more processing power. And so every time you have an instance of BloodHound, which is an indicator on your chart, yep, that uses up more CPU time. So there's really no way of getting around that. So if that's what you're referring to, I would recommend, at least I would recommend an i5 processor, or I'm running an AMD quad-core processor, one of their older generations, and it does pretty fine. I'm running at 3.2 gigahertz, and for the most part, my version of NinjaTrader runs pretty good. I think what really kind of slows my computer down is my hard drives. For some reason, I went with the economical green series of hard drive, which don't quite run as fast. And back when I bought them, I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago maybe, it made sense then. But now that I'm working with BloodHound, I'm eagerly wanting to upgrade to solid state drives to really give a good boost to NinjaTrader. Right, Tony says, all right, okay, thank you, Tony. So it looks like I took it. Looks like I did a good job at answering Tony's questions for him. And all right, Al. Let's see, Al here. I saved the different revisions by using the same file name but adding a version number or description at the end. Yep, good idea, Al. Good idea. So Al's referring to the BloodHound template name here, so he just puts a little version extension at the end. So good idea. Randy has a question or a statement, maybe. When he makes changes to the template, he should save as, rename it. That way both are available. Yep. So yeah, just kind of reiterate. If you use the change button, essentially you'll see it pops up with the save as. So it's just doing the save as, and so you can give your you know, thing here, so you can just rename it dash version 2, something like that. So the change button and the save as right here under file, it's the same thing. All right. Adam's asking Jeremy a question. Although Jeremy typically doesn't listen in on these workshops. He usually takes advantage of the quiet time to work on coding. So let's see. Adam is asking, hey Jeremy, when you get a chance, can you do a support call? I'm having an issue with running back testing and Ninja crashing. So Adam, the best thing to do is to send in a support ticket, or you know, our phone number is on the front of our homepage, but probably the best thing to do is to send in a support ticket, and you guys can agree upon a scheduled time to set up a meeting for doing this. Let's see. And oh yeah, so Adam, that's right. So you're the one that was wanting to know how to reload NinjaTrader. I think that was you, or maybe it was another person wanting to know how to reload NinjaTrader. So there are instructions on our website of how to reinstall NinjaTrader. And let's see. So if you go to BloodHound, go to documentation, and you'll see near the top here, let's see, where is it? Here we go, BloodHound reference. So there's installation and updates. All right. So this should give you the information here. So also there's an explanation of our new licensing software and how to license your BloodHound. All right. How to move your license to a different computer if your computer crashes. So, and here you go, removal instructions. So, all right. And so, Adam, Adam, you can also send in a book an appointment with me on the weekend, and I could help you out on the weekend. All right, Al here. Let's see. Al's saying would be good to have the ability to add the logic equivalent of code snippets. A logic equivalent of code snippets. Yeah, so Al, kind of what I explained earlier about having the ability to kind of set up a core system. And basically, this whole template, being represented in the result node and being able to get the input into the result node onto any other logic template would take care of that for you. So you could just build a logic template for each of your little code snippets. And then, and then in a new logic template, you could start connecting all those little code snippets together. So that's coming, probably later this fall, hopefully. All right, Randy, let's see. I like the concept of using a created grouping node or logic. Yep. So that's kind of what we were just talking about. So, yeah, a lot of people have been asking for this, and we kind of had this idea on the books, for quite a while. But major changes like this, don't come quickly. So Jeremy kind of had to recode the back end in order to get stuff like this to work. So it took quite a bit of coding changes for him to get BloodHound ready for that. All right, so Adam's got a question. Is there a solver to only take one trade per direction? Yes. What you would want to do is use the signal blocker function node, right? Use the signal blocker. And once again, earlier I kind of showed you where the workshop videos are on how to use this node. And essentially, what you can do is you can just block, your signals for, I don't know, however many bars you think. Typically, usually 100 bars is enough, for any kind of one trend direction. Usually 100 bars will cover one kind of trend movement. And then figure out a way to reset this function node. You could reset the function node by using, the reset input, or sometimes you could use the input node or the input point. So like if you're using the input point, here's kind of a common way to do it. So here, this one right here. So input opposite signal is usually a common way of doing it. So simply put, with with like this crossover here that we have, you could use this cross up to give you a long signal, which would reset the signal blocker, and therefore it wouldn't block signals anymore. And then your short trades could be taken again, and also your long trades could be taken. So this is kind of a fairly common way to reset your signal blocker node. So sometimes, depending on what your logic is to determine when you can take another short trade, you may need to use this reset input here. So all right, there you go, Adam. All right, Al. See, that's why I only use market replay to test a strategy. Yeah, good point, Al. So Al is kind of referring back to a previous question about the differences between using the strategy analyzer, which uses only static bars, versus the replay data. So yeah, replay data will give you slightly more accurate results. So Al's got a comment here. So Al was referring to the NinjaTrader use of the term look back, not the BloodHound look back node. Actually, they both work the same. So Jeremy took NinjaTrader's look back parameter, their look back function. So for some of the methods or indicators that include a look back parameter, that's what our look back is based on. So like where's our crossover solver here? Has a look back period. And so this look back period functions the same way as NinjaTrader's look back parameter as well for some of their methods. And so that's why we have a look back period versus a displacement thing, and they both operate the same way as NinjaTrader's displacement and NinjaTrader's look back period. So this is more of for you guys that aren't understanding what I mean by look back parameter. It's a coding, so it's a programming term for NinjaScript is what Al's referring to. All right, well, with that, guys, thank you. I think I've got 3 names here, people who recorded this. So I'll wrap this up, and you guys have a good 3-day holiday weekend.